Hi everybody, my name is Melda and I will be talking about the case study for the US airline industry. My agenda will include an overview of the airline industry. Two, I'll be talking about the competitive analysis within the industry. Third, I will be going over the different strategic group. Fourth, I will be going over SWOT analysis and profitability. And lastly, I'll be going over ethical and social responsibility. Over the past couple of years, some carriers, they have been under scrutiny because of how they handle passenger incidents. However, air travel remains major. It remains a major industry because you have about 2.3 million people and 50,000 tons of cargo being transported by US airlines on a daily basis. Now let's talk about through some of the major competitive forces within the airline industry. First, you have the bargaining power of the buyers. Although there are some type of loyalty between the customers and some of the firms, but the cost of switching from one airline to another is very low. So the bargaining power of buyers is very high. The customers may choose another carrier because they are looking to travel a specific time, or they looking for some amenities, or again they may be looking for cheaper prices. So the cost of switching from one carrier to another is very low. That makes the bargaining power of the buyers very high. Second, you have the bargaining power of suppliers. It's considerably high as well. A large capital is required to enter the manufacturing market, and top world manufacturers are Boeing and Airbus, and they have loans and term contracts that may be disadvantageous if one carrier chooses to move from one supplier's product to another. So that also drives the cost of flights. Another aspect to analyze is threats of new entrants. Flyers, they primarily choose firms that have been established with a proven track record for safety, and also airline industry is capital intensive, so a new firm will be at a cost disadvantage with potentially low customer engagement and loyalty when they enter the market. Therefore, this aspect makes the possibility of new entrants very low. Another factor to consider is competitive force is the threat of substitutes. So for long distance travel, you may utilize air travel, but for medium, I would say, or for short distances, you have other alternatives such as bus, trains, and cars. For instance, if you choose to go to Canada over the summer, you may want to drive for 8 hours rather than getting on a flight. I would say it's kind of balanced out. So I would say that the threat for substitutes is medium in the airline industry. Lastly, the competitive rivalry is very high because the main focus of airlines is to increase their market share, but they are competing for the same customers, whether it is a major or low-cost carriers. They're all flying to the same place. So the service of or lack of service within the industry is pretty much comparable. So this creates a need to offer and maintain cost at a competitive price within the industry in order for them to attract the customers. The competitive force analysis help us determine the cause of low profitability within the industry. Major airlines such as American Airlines, whether it is Delta or United Airlines, they all had to merge with other firms in order for them to recover from bankruptcy. You have aircraft maintenance, the cost of equipment and the cost of labor is very high, and the airline carriers, they need to adhere with long-term loans. So these are all causes for low profitability. Other factors to consider is that security has increased since 9/11, and also when there is political instability, that really impact the likelihood of customers flying. And then lastly, you have the carriers having to contend with the oil price that keep fluctuate. Now let's talk through the different strategic group within the airline industry. First, you have there are two strategic groups. You have carriers such as Delta Airlines, United Airlines, and American. They are what we call the hub and spoke groups. So these carriers, they may travel from small market to other small markets. However, they would make a stop in major hubs such as New York or LA. So this would avoid them flying from small market to other small markets with empty seats. So for example, since there are not a lot of demands for direct flights between South Carolina and Memphis, Delta Airline may take flyers from South Carolina, stop in Georgia, which is a major hub, and then before they go to Memphis. Usually these carriers, they offer an all-inclusive high cost that includes carry-on, food, and other costs. The other strategic group is the point-to-point airline group, which is that includes JetBlue, Virgin Atlantic. So those carriers, they offer a low-cost direct flight from small markets, but they eliminate unnecessary costs. So these airlines, they profit from charging flyers extras for food, for carry-on, baggage to make up for the decreased ticket price. Now, the economic performance of the airline industry strongly correlate with the country economic growth. We see high revenue for the airline industry whenever the economy is booming, and if the economy is contracting, then there is low revenue within the airline industry. Evidently, if the economy is great, people have disposable income to budget out for their travel. Now let's talk through the SWOT analysis for the airline industry. One of the major strengths for the industry is that they offer a product that is very desirable, which is traveling, right? And this is something that is actually self-promoting. When you go on social media, people post positive experience of their traveling, of their destination. So this product is self-promoted. So that's one of their strengths. And also, air travel has been proven to be safe and will continue to grow as population rises. Weakness within the industry is that we need to consider capital that's required to enter the market and to remain operational. And at the same time, return investment is highly unpredictable. They have a large workforce all over the world, so there are probably going to be a lot of internal control, communication issues, especially during acute weather. So those are some of the weaknesses. Also, one thing to note here is that whenever there is an incident, it's really easy for the news to go widespread because of social media. That triggers headlines and that have a negative impact on the airline carriers, whether they're big airline carriers or small. Opportunity to talk about here. For opportunity expansion, airlines should focus on cost saving, especially on more fuel efficient aircrafts. They need to invest in more underground process efficiency, such as baggage check-in. Airline industry, from a threat perspective, they will continue to be threatened by political instability. They will continue to be threatened by terrorist attack whenever it occurs, and also by economy downturn. As part of key strategy, key strategies to ensure that the industry remain profitable beyond 2016. The carriers, they need to improve airline brands customer experience by investing in technology that automate underground processes. They need to provide more options, more healthy options as far as food, whether it is first class, whether it is economy class, because people are actually willing to pay for this type of amenities. And also, they need to invest in employees' training to ensure that their customer or flyers' air travel experience is enhanced. And also, the volatile nature and high cost of fuel has been such an obstacle within the industry. So they need to partner up with suppliers that actually invest in technologies for focusing on fuel efficiency. Ethical and social responsibilities within the industry. So when we think about ethical and social responsibility, it has a very high positive impact on loyalty, on loyalty based on past experiences. So I think that the airline industry, they must embark on the sustainable environment practices. The airline industry is one of the largest unregulated source of CO2. So they need to reduce their carbon emission footprint, and they also need to invest in aircrafts that are fuel efficient. So this brings us to the end of our presentation. You're welcome to leave your comment on the discussion board for any follow-up. Thank you.